Butterflies should not be able to fly. Their wings are too large, too broad, disproportionate to body size. For decades, scientists believed butterfly flight was aerodynamically inefficient, a mystery. How does an insect with wings like paper plates achieve rapid takeoff, escape predators, migrate thousands of miles? The physics didn't add up until 2021. Welcome to Wild Lead Tube, where evolution, intelligence, and survival collide. And nothing is ever as simple as it looks. Because butterflies aren't fighting gravity with brute force. They're using a mechanism so elegant, so efficient, that engineers missed it for 50 years. Let me show you exactly how it works. A butterfly's wings are unusual, short, broad, large, relative to body mass. Compare them to a dragonfly. Dragonflies have long, narrow wings, high aspect ratio, efficient for steady flight. Butterflies are the opposite. Low aspect ratio, wide surface area. It looks inefficient. And for years, that's what scientists believed. But here's the paradox. Butterflies thrive. Monarchs migrate over 4,000 kilometers, from Canada to Mexico. Some reach altitudes above 1,000 meters. They glide for miles, conserve energy. Yet their wings seem designed wrong. Too much drag, not enough lift. The math suggested they shouldn't make it across a meadow. Yet they cross continents. Per Henningsen and Christopher Johansson at Lund University wanted answers. They're biologists who study flight mechanics. They built a wind tunnel specifically for butterfly research, caught silver-washed fritillaries, Argynnis pophia, large European butterflies, orange and black patterns, strong flyers, perfect test subjects. And they recorded every wing beat during takeoff. Takeoff is crucial. That's when butterflies need maximum thrust, escaping predators, launching from flowers. Rapid acceleration required. The researchers used tomographic particle image velocimetry, advanced imaging that tracks air movement in 3 dimensions, reveals vortices, pressure changes, force production, frame by frame, wing beat by wing beat, 6 individuals, hundreds of flights. What they found changed everything. During the upstroke, the wings don't just flap up, they cup. The leading edges meet first, the trailing edges follow, creating an air pocket between the wings, a flexible pocket, not rigid, not flat, cupped like hands clapping. And when the wings collide at the top, the trapped air is forced out backward, a jet propelling the butterfly forward. This is the clap and fling mechanism, described 50 years ago by Torkel Weisfog. He studied tiny wasps, noticed wing clapping, theorized it generated thrust. But nobody had measured it quantitatively, not in free-flying butterflies, not with this level of detail. The Lund study was the first, and it revealed something unexpected. The flexibility matters. Rigid wings don't work the same way. The researchers built a mechanical clapper, 2 sets of wings, one rigid, one flexible, tested both. The rigid wings clapped flat, generated thrust, but less efficiently. The flexible wings cupped during clap, formed a pocket, expelled air more forcefully, generated 50% more thrust, 50%. That's the difference between escape and capture. Here's how the physics work. During upstroke, butterfly wings bend. Membrane flexibility allows cupping. The wings form a concave shape. Air gets trapped between them, compressed. When the leading edges meet first, the air can't escape forward. It's forced backward, creating a jet. Newton's third law. For every action, an equal and opposite reaction. Backward, jet, forward thrust. The downstroke serves a different purpose. It's not for thrust, it's for lift, weight support, keeping the butterfly from falling. The wake analysis proved this. Downstroke vortices oriented vertically, indicating vertical force. Upstroke vortices oriented horizontally, indicating thrust. Two distinct functions, upstroke for propulsion, downstroke for support. Division of labor within a single wing beat cycle. Now here's where it gets more interesting. The wings aren't just flexible membranes, they're covered in scales. Hundreds of thousands of microscopic scales, each about 0.1 millimeters long, arranged like shingles on a roof, overlapping. And until recently, scientists thought these were just for color, pigmentation, mating signals, visual display. They were wrong. Amy Lang at the University of Alabama studied monarch butterflies, tested them with scales intact, then removed the scales, brushed them off carefully, tested again. Same butterflies, same flight conditions, different results. With scales removed, climbing efficiency dropped 32%. 32%. The butterflies could still fly, but they worked harder, flapped more, expended more energy. The scales create aerodynamic advantage. They're angled upward, tips raised, forming microscopic cavities beneath each scale. When air flows over the wing, these cavities trap tiny vortices, laminar vortices, rotating slowly. At the Reynolds numbers butterflies experience, these vortices act like roller bearings. The outer flow slides over them, reduced friction, less drag, more efficient flight. This is called the roller bearing effect. Surface drag reduced by up to 40% compared to smooth wings. The vortices in the cavities provide a partial slip condition. The boundary layer doesn't stick completely to the surface, it glides. Less energy lost to friction, more energy available for thrust and lift. And it only works at low Reynolds numbers, perfect for butterfly flight speeds. Reynolds number describes flow regimes. Low Reynolds number means viscous forces dominate. High Reynolds number means inertial forces dominate. Butterflies fly at Reynolds numbers around 10,000, where viscosity and inertia balance. The scale cavities create Reynolds numbers below 10. Laminar cavity flow, stable vortices. If the scales were larger, cavity Reynolds number would increase. Flow would become turbulent. Benefit lost. Evolution optimized the size perfectly. Right now, engineers are studying this mechanism for drone applications. Flapping wing micro-air vehicles, MAVs. Current designs struggle with efficiency. Rigid wings, simple hinges, high energy consumption, limited flight time. But bio-inspired designs, incorporating flexible wings and scale-like surface patterns, show promise. Laboratory tests demonstrate significant improvements, thrust gains, drag reduction, extended flight duration. The challenge is replication. Butterfly wings are complex, multiple materials, varying stiffness, chitin membranes, tubular veins, flexible joints, microscopic scales, all working together, creating a wing that bends precisely, cups exactly right, generates optimal thrust. Engineers can't just copy the shape. They need to understand the mechanics, material properties, structural interactions, the physics beneath the biology. Massachusetts Institute of Technology researchers observed scale development. They watched painted lady butterflies emerge from chrysalis, used specialized microscopy, imaged through an opening in the chrysalis wall, captured scales forming in real time, smooth surface at first, then wrinkling, parallel ridges developing. The corrugated structure that makes scales functional, buckling mechanics, actin filaments constraining membrane growth, forcing wrinkles to form in specific patterns. Understanding scale formation could enable bio-inspired manufacturing, textiles with built-in drag reduction, building surfaces with thermal management, vehicle panels with improved airflow, any surface needing microstructure for functionality. The same buckling principles applied to synthetic materials. Engineers now have to design parameters, pin spacing, material growth between pins, tune those variables, control wrinkle patterns, create desired surface properties. But here's what makes this dangerous today. Butterfly populations are declining. Habitat loss, pesticide use, climate change. Monarch populations have dropped 90% in some regions. The butterflies that taught us these physics principles are disappearing, and with them goes the biological archive. The evolutionary solutions to flight challenges, millions of years of optimization lost. The silver-washed fritillaries that Henningsen and Johansen studied live in European meadows. Their populations are stable for now, but habitat fragmentation threatens them. Monarchs face worse. Their migration route crosses multiple countries, requires milkweed plants, specific overwintering sites in Mexico, deforestation, agricultural expansion, development, all reduce available habitat, break the migration chain. No butterflies means no research, no inspiration, no solutions. So what should you take from this? First, understand that efficiency comes from flexibility. Rigid structures seem strong, but flexible structures adapt. Butterfly wings bend to cup air, create thrust from motion that looks inefficient. The apparent weakness is the actual strength. Evolution discovered this. Engineers are still catching up. Second, realize that small structures matter. Microscopic scales, tiny cavities, features you can barely see. They reduce drag by 40%, change flight efficiency dramatically. The macro performance depends on microgeometry. What happens at the millimeter scale determines what happens at the meter scale. Details matter. Precision matters. Evolution optimizes at every level. Third, recognize that nature solves problems we haven't even defined yet. Butterflies don't calculate Reynolds numbers. They don't model vortex dynamics. They don't engineer surface cavities. Evolution tested millions of variations over millions of years, selected what worked, discarded what didn't. The result is a wing that outperforms current human designs for weight, for efficiency, for adaptability. The clap and fling mechanism generates thrust during upstroke, uses wing flexibility, creates a cupped pocket, expels air backward, propels butterfly forward. 50% more efficient than rigid clapping. The downstroke generates lift, supports weight, prevents falling, to wing beats, to functions. Perfectly coordinated, 20 times per second, continuous, automatic, no conscious control required. The scales reduce surface drag, create partial slip conditions, trap laminar vortices in microscopic cavities, act like roller bearings at low Reynolds numbers, decrease friction by 40%, improve climbing efficiency by 32%, enable long-distance migration, allow rapid escape from predators, all from structures smaller than a grain of sand, hundreds of thousands of them, covering each wing. And the whole system is lightweight. A butterfly's wings weigh almost nothing. Thin chitin membranes, hollow veins, microscopic scales, total mass a fraction of body weight. yet they generate enough force for vertical takeoff, sustained flight, altitude gain, speed when needed, maneuverability for obstacle avoidance, all without muscle in the wings themselves, all powered from the thorax. Through mechanical linkages, elegant, efficient, refined over evolutionary time. Right now, researchers are developing flapping wing robots inspired by these principles. Flexible wings that cup during clap, surface patterns that reduce drag, lightweight materials that mimic chitin. Early prototypes show promise. Improved thrust generation, extended flight time, better maneuverability, but they're still inferior to the real thing. Butterflies remain the gold standard, the benchmark, the proof of concept that nature provided. If this showed you that physics isn't always intuitive, if you finally understand that flexibility can be more efficient than rigidity, then you're starting to see how evolution optimizes systems. Subscribe because the next video will show you the deepest living fish ever found, 8,000 meters below the surface, where pressure crushes most life. Still hunting, still surviving. How does soft tissue withstand pressure that should flatten bone? The answers aren't hiding in the future. They're written in the past. Wild Lead Tube has the answers. I'll show you where to look.